We've all heard the phrase, you have to start somewhere. Well, that's true in the world of mixed martial arts, and there's no better place to start than Midwest Championship Fighting. From Street Fighter to Contender, it's real, and it happens in the MCF.
Street fights were born out of necessity. I needed to fill a card, and it wasn't easy for a matchmaker in those times to fill a card, especially a new one. Turns out they were really entertaining, so I stuck with them. And believe me, people were really critical.
At first I wasn't a fan, just because I was worried about how other fighters fighting on the fight card took fighting on a show that had those kind of street fights. And so I really didn't give it a fair assessment till like the first time I actually sat down, called the action for one, and I realized, some of these guys go on to train.
The goal is to get these street fighters ultimately into the gym, get them some training and see what they can do. So I agreed to pay for some of their training.
Yeah. Zach Fox was just training for, just everyday training for self-defense, and I brought it to his attention that, we needed a fight.
And I got the call from Ryan. I was like, well, let's do it.
He just ran out there and jumped at him, and then even when the fight had stopped from him dropping his mouthpiece, he didn't let him take a second. He wasn't trying to take care of anybody, and when Chase went to pick up that mouth guard, I think he kicked him in the head and finished it from there.
Up for these two, the mouthpiece comes out, a combo, and a kick to the head, a high kick. The ref could stop.
With the win coming out of it, you're like, wow, this is awesome, and it's you come over that fear of like getting in front of everybody and getting in front of a crowd. You just want more of it. It's almost addicting in a way. You're just like, man, I love it. I'm not made of glass. Like, I can get in there and I can do this.
Street fights organically became a part of my show. They're entertaining, people love them.
Street fights are a blast for a lot of reasons, because some guys don't have absolutely any cardio whatsoever, they don't have any training whatsoever, and it is entertaining as heck, but I don't want to just make it like it's all just, you're watching bouts to make fun of guys, because you're not. I mean, we're definitely not. Yeah, we laugh, we tell some jokes while we're doing analysis, but I have nothing but respect for anybody who has the balls to step into the cage. I don't care if you've never went into a gym and trained or not. If you get into a cage to fight somebody in front of people, you got huge cojones.
I think one of the most exciting things for me has been watching fighters fight in the MCF cage, and then in some cases a month or 2 months later, you're watching them on pay-per-view or on a fight night undercard somewhere fighting in the UFC, the biggest stage in the world. So, it's true. It's true when people say you can go directly from the MCF cage to the UFC. We've seen it done.
I do like the street fights. It's definitely entertaining. It's nice that two people want to settle something, they can do it legally and in front of a crowd and get that experience and that anger or whatever they have towards their opponent out.
I like the idea and the concept. It's bringing somebody who's had a tough life, somebody who's used to fighting, in the street.
They kind of crack me up, but I think it's good. It helps show the difference between somebody who doesn't know what they're doing and someone who actually trains and actually puts in the work.
I mean, it's the closest you can come to watching an actual street fight on the street in the cage, even though there's rules and gloves and there's no hair pulling and all that cool stuff you get to see on the street. But
I like it because we get a lot of people that talk all this game, how they can do it, how it's easy. There's your chance, prove it. Show us what you got.
Street fights, by design, are to get guys into the cage, get them training. But our main event, it's designed to get guys into the UFC.
We've seen it done the other way too. We've seen fighters like Ryan McDonald who worked their way up through the ranks within the MCF cage and then found their way into the UFC. And we've seen some guys get in a couple times, some guys that Russ goes out and pulls in from some bigger promotions. We've pulled fighters that right in from Dana White's UFC Contender series. So you're seeing some of the best of the best. And sometimes, just like in the music business, the main act paves the way for the opening act. So these guys are going to get seen by some big eyes, maybe not because of their name, but maybe because of a name that's fighting on the card up above them. And that may be what it takes. So Midwest Championship Fighting is a pathway to bigger and better things, and in some cases a pathway to the biggest thing, the ultimate goal, and that's the UFC.
It's unique for sure to do the fight analysis on shows that have street fights, which are normally guys that don't have any training, any experience, although some do. Some guys have been high school wrestlers at least, you know, and some guys absolutely nothing, don't know anything about fighting. Then you kind of go up on the same card, then you're gradually increasing to different levels of fights. Amateurs, you start to get to low-level pros, then you have high-level pros, where you're, you know, like on this show and shows past, where both competitors, both fighters in the main event are from Dana White's Contender Series.
I think it's a great formula. If you can get any eyeballs from the UFC into your promotion, then I think you should do it. They're obviously the worldwide leader in MMA.
I think it's great. It gets eyes on from bigger promotions like Bellator and the UFC, and when they see what kind of fighters MCF is producing, they're going to keep an eye on all of us, and they're going to see us coming.
I like it a lot. It really brings attention from the guys who the UFC is looking at, and it brings attention to MCF, which is our hometown promotion. So I think it's real smart.
I challenge you street fighters, you know, if you like fighting, do it, you know, and go full force. Make the sacrifices, you know, be disciplined, listen to your coaches, take it to the next level. If you can be comfortable in chaos, then you can go a long way.
Someday I'd love nothing more to see a street fighter that started on my show make it into the Dana White Contender Series. That would be awesome. If there are any fighters out there that didn't get a contract that were on the Contender Series, Midwest Championship Fighting has a place for you in their cage. Get a hold of me.